Hello. Um, I'm doing the video in semi-dark because I don't have any makeup on and I need to wash my hair and fix up and I just I just don't have the time. I want to talk to you about what I'm going through lately. Because I'm not really sure if I am on the money or if I am out to lunch or yeah, how you like all these cliches. Um, but it's my reality and it's what I'm going through. And I'm just trying to process what's actually happening and trying to figure out how I'm going to handle it in the future. Well, I better tell you what I'm talking about. Um, I camp. I go from I camp in campgrounds that are public. I camp at public campgrounds. And I go from one camp to another camp, and I do that continuously. And so, so I was coming out of the bathroom, and there was a guy coming out. Well, there was a couple different incidents. Why don't I tell you about the first one? Okay, I was standing outside of the bathroom, and I was talking to this lady that I knew that I had met in another campground. And we were talking at a distance, and she was walking her dog like out in the road, and I was standing kind of closer to the bathroom. And then this guy came out of the bathroom, and he kind of had some tattoos all over him and no shirt, and had been kind of hot, and it's cooled off. It's been raining lately, today and yesterday, and so when when I was standing there not going anywhere, um, and then the guy was like, who had come out of the bathroom, was like standing there not going anywhere, and I believe I saw his car was parked there. Yeah, and then and then he was like smoking a cigarette or I don't lit up something, and anyway, um, it made me kind of nervous that he was standing around while I was talking to my friend. And then it just made me feel like he was waiting for me. And then, okay, yeah, he got in his car and then he drove down ways away. And then it's like he stayed in his car, which was, maybe a block away. And it was like he was waiting. And so I continued to talk with my friend in small talk. Um, Not very interesting conversation, just allowing the conversation to continue because I really didn't want to go in the direction where that guy was, and I didn't want him to see which direction I was taking to walk back to my camp. And I didn't really know what he was waiting around for. So finally he drove off and I walked where he couldn't see me. Anyway, okay, so there was that. And then the next day, another guy came out of the bathroom. And he looked kind of husky and muscular, and he had this tank top on, and I only saw his back. And so and then he was like going to his car. And then, okay, so I just saw his back, and then so I was heading in the direction of going back to my camp, and um, he was sitting in his car. It was a blue car, and he was sitting in his car and he wasn't going anywhere. And that made me, and he was still by the bathroom, and that made me very nervous because if I went in one way or one direction or the other, he would see where I was going, and then maybe if he's trying to look to see where my camp is, um, he would get a better, closer idea of where I am. So I walked in another direction that was more vague, that meant either I was actually somewhere else, or um, where there were just a lot more choices, a lot wider, broader area. And so I walked for some time away from my camp, away from the bathroom, away from him, and then I walked far down the road, far away from my camp, and um, completely unproductive situation. And then I saw him coming down the road behind me. And I thought, what? I thought, okay, is this just a coincidence, or is he actually following me? Um, so I went into a public area and sat there for a few minutes, and I saw him parked just a little bit ways from the public area where I was. So he had driven in my direction and then parked at the location where I was sitting. And I thought, okay, he's either following me on purpose, or it's just a coincidence he happened to be going in the same direction I am. So I'm just trying to check my reality here, because I don't like feeling like I'm paranoid or crazy or anything, and I don't want anybody thinking that either. But this is creating a problem for me, because what I did was, because I saw him parked, I saw somebody parked in the blue car at the public location near where I was sitting. So I walked all the way back to the ranger station and asked them if they could give me a ride back to my camp. And they wouldn't do it. They say it's against policy. Okay, fine. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. So I asked for a map to try and figure out a roundabout way to get back to my camp that covered a lot of multiple camps, so that if he saw the direction I was taking, he still wouldn't really have much of a clue where my camp was. And also to see if that road would actually lead to my camp, so that I could still get back home while trying to set this guy off course. So finally the manager comes out and says, like, she reiterates that it's against policy, that they can't take me. I already got that the first time somebody said it. So I'm just sitting there. I'm sitting on the in a chair on location, and I'm trying to figure out what to do. What I'm actually doing is I'm looking at the park map, and I'm trying to. I just explained it to you. I'm trying to figure out my route, how I'm going to do it, and get to know the area better, and try and come up with my own solution. So she's sitting here talking to me, and so here's what I did. I handled it wrongly. I said, she was coming at me, and then she's standing there telling me they can't do it. I already got it. That information was already divulged to me. I'm using hand gestures here. We don't want you to miss out on that. So she's standing there while I'm trying to read the map and figure things out. And she's got nothing to offer. She's not giving me any new information. So I don't really understand why she's standing there. What is she doing? Just waiting for me? Well, sorry, lady, you're on your own. So get out of here. I guess that's what was she doing? Just standing there. So so then they walked away. No, I got to tell you what I said. What did I say? Oh, I said, well, if you're not going to help me, I don't want to talk to you. And all the fear of with all this fear going on of mine, I seem to have no fear of getting myself in trouble by having a bad rapport with the manager. So that kind of fear didn't seem to occur to me. So so they left the room, walked away from me, and then one person suggested that, well, how about if I follow you back to your camp? Because they're not allowed to drive people to their camps, but then I said that would be fine. So it was a few minutes, and I had already figured out my solution. And even if they hadn't followed me, somebody wasn't following me, I would have been okay with my new plan, and it was to go a different route. And I could still get it, still took me back to my camp, but it would be a different route, not divulging, where my camp was, unless they saw me actually walk right into my camp. So I just left. And then I thought, if they want to come follow after me and follow me like they said they were going to do, that would be fine. Otherwise, I'm good. I'm good. So, so I just took off, and sure enough, one of the ladies ended up following me, and she followed me all the way to my camp, and I told her thank you. But you know, this this situation is nobody's fault. But now I'm just concerned over the long term. How am I going to handle this? I mean, I'm a pretty independent, strong willed, strong minded person, woman. I was a single parent for 19 years. I mean, I raised my son for 19 years. And, a lot of people tried to tell me how to do things, and I stood up to them very well. And so now here I am. I am not always that. I am not always lonely. There are times when I am, but I'm not always, and I don't need to have somebody around all the time. But I think one thing, I would like a life partner, a life companion who is a man, because I'm a Christian. But I admit that sometimes I would just like to have somebody around that made me feel safe. To be perfectly honest, sometimes that's really what I need, what I want, and I have to. I'm getting to the point where I'm carrying these things in my purse, a knife and pepper spray, and I got a thing that'll break a window open, and it's just, and here's the thing, I don't know what these guys are about. It could just be coincidence. They're just driving around. They're just people, and maybe they are up to no good. Maybe they're looking to rob or rape or steal or cut me up in a million pieces or sell my inner parts, or which isn't very smart, because for a 53-year-old woman, it isn't exactly. Yeah, that's morbid. That's an evil, morbid thing to talk about. But anyway, and then I could try and change my perspective that maybe these are just people who are just campers, and they just happen to be around, and it just looked like something other than what it was. And a lot of times that's real life. That's reality. Is sometimes something looks like something that it isn't, and it just happened to be that's the way it appeared. Anyway, I have to settle in my mind. I mean, I already have. I've already set myself up with, I have my pepper spray and my other things. And also, I keep a little baggie of dog treats in case there's a dog that comes at me, and I have ways of dealing with that too. And to take it in first steps, and I would try and make friends with the dog for starters. That's what the dog treats are for. And already that's gone over real well. The dogs end up really liking me. Um, but as far as the men, I don't have a problem if I see a man walking down a path. That isn't a crime. It's not suspicious, and I'm not saying anything about stuff like that. I'm saying if it, I've already explained. It just you 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 can't one can't deny after hearing that story that didn't look just a little questionable. You know, just a lot of little coincidences like that, and who knows. So I need to reconcile how I'm going to cope with stuff like this in the future, and with situations like with the park manager, and not ruin my good reputation there too, and membership and so forth. Um, Basically, the reason why I was still sitting there at the office was I was looking for option number three, which there was one, and that's the one that worked. Option number three. They'd already told me they weren't going to drive me back there. I understood that. I understand English very well. Um, so I was looking for another option, and it just took me a few more minutes, I guess, than she expected. And I was just about figuring out my own solution when she came to reiterate. And so here I am. I'm just trying to process everything and figure out how I'm going to deal with this. Um, I think I'm pretty brave for the most part. To make this decision to be a full-time nomad in my RV is already a brave decision. Um, so I just don't want to feel like this every time I go to the bathroom or want to take a shower and go through this every time. Um, I don't know. I guess I'll get back to you on this. I don't want to tell you everything that's occurred to me in my mind. I don't. I don't know. God only knows. He knows everything. And I just need to trust that God will take care of me. So, thank you for listening. Have a good day or evening.